Hi, welcome. This is the Change Your Life podcast. I'm Dwight Gillespie. Today we are going to talk about, I finished the 75 hard over a month ago, right? Walter? Over a month ago. We got back from California. We were out in California for a little while. We did the videos out in the desert. It was really cool. And I want to talk about this, right? Because I got a rat on myself here. You know, there's something, and I'm going to talk about this book a little bit today. It's Atomic Habits by James Clear, and I just read it. Very good book. And I tell you, you know, it hit on some things that I know for myself are really prevalent in my life. And when I was doing the 75 hard, right, as I was coming up to the end, for the first like 60, 65 days of it, I was into it, you know, I'm doing it. And yeah, I wanted it like, there were days when it was like, God, I don't want to do this today. But I did it with a lot more enthusiasm. And it was like the last, definitely like the last 10 days, right? The way I had been doing it before was like I would get up and pretty much one of them got done before 9 o'clock. I either went to the gym or I did the walk or something like that. I did the reading. I always got the reading out of the way in the morning. And because I read, that's when I read anyway. But I knew as it was ending, right? And I told my personal trainer, Justin, Here We Go Fitness here in Glendale, New York. If you need a personal trainer, Justin Yoon is a great guy. Here We Go Fitness. And but I remember telling him, and I said, Justin, I'm worried about finishing up this challenge. You know, I'm worried about what's going to happen afterwards because I really want to continue with this. And all of this was kind of like a perfect storm for me, you know, because basically my fears came true. And you know, because what do they say? To thine own self be true. You know, this is a little Shakespeare, right? Yeah, Shakespeare. Yeah, it was the Odd Couple. Yeah, Shakespeare. The fault lies not in our stars, but in ourselves. Shakespeare. Anyway, I digress. I was worried. Like, okay, I had a goal, like to finish this challenge. This is where James Clear comes in. And I read this after I finished the challenge, right? But I kind of knew this about myself going into it. Is like, I was worried, like, okay, I'm going to do this. And listen, I didn't want to fail at this. I didn't want to not be able to complete the challenge, and I completed it. I did everything I had to do for 75 days. I did 2 workouts a day, right? I drank that gallon of water. Walter's over here. People can't see him. He's over here. I'm telling you. I drank the gallon of water. I read the pages. I did all. I took the picture. I did everything I was supposed to do. I even journaled every day for 75 days, right? Which wasn't part of it, but it's just something that I did, and it kept me accountable to what I was doing. But as it got closer to the end, it became like, oh, God, I can't wait till this is over. Oh, my God, it's never going to end, you know. And then, you know, you get to day 62, 63, 64, and you're doing it, and you're doing it, and you're doing it. And there were times, let me tell you something, 10:30 at night, and I'm looking, you know, because I marked down the water, and you know, it's 128 ounces of water a day. And you know, there were days I would look at it and it's 10:30 and I got 100 ounces of water. I still got to drink 28 ounces of water, and I'm sitting there down in water, knowing I'm going to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning yet again, pissing because, you know, I'm 59 years old and my prostate's like the size of a grapefruit at this point, right? You know, and I couldn't wait for it to be done. And I knew that when it was done, and I talked about this before because I knew when it was going to be done. Number one, I knew that I was going to have a meal, right? A cheat meal, if you want to call it that. And there's no real such thing. And we talked about this before in the Daily Stoic with Ryan Holiday's, you know, daily meditations that I read. You know, it was funny because that Monday it talked about a cheat day, and the only person you really cheating is yourself. And I agree with that, man. And I don't like the cheat days anymore. But I was worried about the gym more than anything else. Get that off of there. Getting in, it's like staying in the gym, and that's what happened, you know. And it comes to James Clear and reading this, and James Clear talks about having a system in place, right? And that the system is more important than the goal. And he talked about it with marathons, right? He used that as an analogy, which is a good one because I do have a goal of running a marathon, and. Now he talked about it. He said that it might not be a good idea because he doesn't really speak in absolutes in here, but for me, I'll take it as an absolute in that it's not a good idea for me to say I'm going to do a 75 hard challenge. I'm going to run a marathon because what happens when it's done? See, when it's done, Are you a person who works out, or are you a person who completed a 75 hard challenge? And if it turns out I'm the latter, not the former, and because once it was done, it was like, oh God, that's done. Thank God. Let me take a break. And this is kind of like I'm in a 12-step recovery program. People know that, right? And I've been in 12-step. I've been in and out of 12-step recovery programs since I'm 20 years old. And one thing I can tell you about these things, right? And for me, it's very consistent. But I use this as a moniker, right? As the 12-step recovery program. You get clean for a while. You don't use drugs. You don't drink. None of that. And something happens, and you get away from it, and you start using again. One of the hardest things in the world is to get back to not using. And people often say it's easier to stay stopped than to stop. And I agree, losing that momentum is so hard to get back. And I'm trying to get back in the gym now. I went, Saturday, I was in the gym today. It's Monday. Today's Monday. And it was so hard to get back into the gym. It's really hard for me to get back into the swing of it. And another thing happened too is I turned 60. March 1st was my birthday. I turned 60. And something really clicked. Like something's really been bothering me about turning 60, and getting old is I don't know. I never fear, I don't fear death. Like I have a deep faith, and it's not a religious faith. It's just a faith in something that I believe in. And I believe that I'll see my kids on the other side. I believe these things. That doesn't worry me. It's living hard. It's dying hard. It's dying alone. It's all of those things. And I guess as you age, these are the things that I think of. I miss my children a lot, and I guess that's normal, but some of that missing them is kind of selfish, because I worry, what's going to happen? How's this all going to play out? And the more I do that, the more upsetting it gets, and then the more I want to do the things that help me dissociate from these feelings, right? So what do you do? You eat, you do things that I do things that aren't conducive to good mental and spiritual health. I'm in the midst of writing a new book, and it really is about the transition of getting off the drugs and quitting smoking and losing the weight. And I've been doing these things for a while. This isn't something like I lost 60 pounds and it's been 3 months. I've been at this weight loss thing since October of 2021, and now, we're in April of 2023. So I've been doing this for a while. I've been able to maintain this weight loss, and it hasn't been easy. I think that the food is one of the biggest challenges that I've had to face. But this whole thing, and again, like I said, I want to rat on myself because I haven't been in the gym. I haven't been doing the things that are conducive to good mental and spiritual and physical health. And I've been going out to eat a little bit more and not going off the rails with it, but eating stuff. There's a great Polish place that I go to in Greenpoint in Brooklyn, and the pierogies are unbelievable. And I love pierogi, so what are you going to do? You're going to eat pierogies, and I don't eat like I used to, because I used to be able to order a dozen pierogies before the meal came and kill them all, and I went, I was there Saturday night. I went with 3 friends, and, we ordered a dozen pierogies, and I had 3. I had 3 pierogies, and then I got the kielbasa, but I don't get it, I don't get the kielbasa sandwich. I just get the kielbasa with the it's very good. It's a really good place. I forget the name of it. It's right around the corner. It's on Manhattan Avenue in Greenpoint. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. So I don't go crazy with it, but I'm not doing the things that I used to do to better those things. And so James Clear was talking about it. The goal shouldn't be to run a marathon, right? Because once you run the marathon, it's done. And I had a kid in recovery one time, and I used to sponsor him. And he used to want me to sell him, and I've talked about this before. He used to want me to sell him on recovery. Well, why should I do this? I don't care what you do. I don't care. You want to go shoot dope? Go shoot dope. Oh, how can you say that? I said, because I don't know why you're here. I know why I'm here. I know why I do what I do. I know how I was when I was using drugs. At the end of my using, and when I say the end of my using, I'm talking last 5-6 years, right? I sit there oh God, I can't do this anymore. I know what it feels like to want to die. I know what it feels like to have a rope around like literally have a rope around my neck. It's actually an extension cord, but you get the idea, And I don't know why other people do it. I can only guess that maybe they were in the same spot that I was in. Like, I remember what it felt like to be hopeless. And the thing I say about hope all the time is you don't know what it is until you don't have any of it left. You're hopeless. Like, when all hope is lost, like, I know how that feels when you look and you get up and every day just seems so dark and there's no light at the end of that tunnel. And then all of a sudden there is. And I got to tell you, my first recovery meeting, when I went to that, and it was on 101st Avenue and 86th Street here in Queens. And I remember going in there and people telling me, you never have to use drugs again. You don't have to live this way. You kick dope one more time and you're done. You'll never have to kick heroin again. And that feeling of hope. And I remember tears in my eyes, like, and at that time I had a good job, like I a good union job, I was making good money and everything. And I looked and smelled homeless. It was disgusting. And because I didn't care, I had no self-respect left. I had no ability to think or feel outside of me. It was all about that. To stop that and get back to that, to know that life and then to use again, it makes it very difficult to get back. And it's the same with all of these things, right? And he talks about it in here, and I've always known this, and we've talked about it on this particular channel, is that good habits are much, much harder to come by than bad ones. Boy, a bad habit. I could think my way into a bad. That's a good. They say you don't think your way into a good way of living. You have to live your way into a good way of thinking, right? And that's the truest thing. But it is the exact opposite for the bad stuff. The bad stuff comes real quick, right? And good habits are so much easier to break than bad ones, at least for me. Like, I had bad habits, smoking cigarettes. I remember when I had gone 12 years. When I got clean back in 1987, right? I stopped using. And I got married, and it was a debacle. Go back to some of the old videos you see, but it didn't work. But I didn't use, But I had quit smoking, and I was running. I felt good. I did a lot of running and stuff like that, in many ways, both physically and metaphorically, right? But I did these. So I quit for 12 years, and then when I relapsed and started doing drugs again, well, there's no point. People at no point in snorting oxy if you can't have a good smoke afterwards. I mean, it's just ridiculous, Smirk, damn it, I want my nicotine with my oxy, and but I didn't drink, which was the funny thing, because I can't drink. I'm an alcoholic. I actually did that. I think I told the story right when I was at the bar. It was up on 75th and 5th Avenue in Brooklyn. It's still there. The place is still there. But we did some stuff in there, right? We snort off the bar and stuff. And I remember my friend, he's out there. He's the one. He asked. I'm sitting there with my old Duels beer, the non-alcoholic beer, snorting speedball lines up off the bar. And he's like, "Yo, Dave, what's up with this? What kind of Irishman are you drinking that piss water, that old Duel stuff, right?" And I snort up the. And I look at him, I go, "Johnny, I can't drink. I'm an alcoholic." And he's like, "What the he's just, dude, you're a mess, man. You're a mess." And I was, So when I started using again all those things, it was so hard to stop, and that's where I'm at right now with the gym. It's so hard when you're in a routine. And that's one of the things about the 75 hard. I got into this routine. I got it into my head. I got to do this every day. And for some reason, because I attained that goal, like I did it, and I got the tattoo. You've all seen it. I posted it, right? I earned that thing. I earned that. I don't give a if I never go. I'm sorry. I don't care if I never go to the gym again. I earned that 75 hard tattoo because I did it. I did everything I had to do for 75 straight days. Now, if it was 75 plus hard, probably not so good. Because like the very next day, I'm eating what I shouldn't eat. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't do the walk. I didn't do any of the stuff, right? And what I'm doing here is I'm trying to rat on myself to tell you that I'm going to make a commitment to get back to the gym and to keep doing these things that are good for me. To adhere to that diet strictly. No more pierogies. None of that. And to get back to doing what I need to do. I'm 60 years old, and I feel it. Like right now, I feel 60. At least mentally, emotionally, I feel 60. And it's funny because I was telling Walter before, I says, 59, a woman in her 40s, well, it's really like only a 10-year difference, but now I'm in my 60s and she's in her 40s. It's like 20 years. I know, it's just tough math, but we'll beat that too. But I think psychologically, and it take me a while to get through this. I got to get through it. 50 didn't bother me. 40 bothered me. 60's really doing something to me. 50 was okay, 50 I got clean at 49. I came back into recovery at 49 years old, and so I think 50 was pretty good because I'm like, wow, I'm clean for this upcoming, period of time anyway, and very grateful for that, and I have a lot of gratitude. And again, this is life now, and it's important. And at 60, I start reflecting on how much is left. Okay, if you live well, if I eat right, exercise, do all I got to do, and my mind stays. What do you got? Like 20, 25 years. Like how I remember Woody Allen talking about that, about being middle-aged when he was in his 50s. He goes, middle-aged? You're not middle-aged at 55. People don't live to be 110. Like the average people don't live to be. Middle-aged is 40. You live to be 80. Like you can see 80. You start hitting 50. You don't really see 100. A lot of people don't think in triple digits, And so, you start saying, well, what's left and how much of it is going to be good? Like, yeah, you can live to 90. And there are some 90-year-olds who's, they're good. Their mind is sharp and they're okay, and that's good. By and large, not so much. By and large, that's not the way it works. Even if you make it to that age, you're not. It's not. Yeah, he has his good days. Like it's.
He didn't soil himself.
You're right, and exactly, and that's a good day. He didn't shit himself. And I worry about that. I worry about being in a home. I went to visit my ex-wife's mom. I spent Easter with her yesterday, and she's a wonderful person. She's probably one of the finest people I've ever known in my life, and she is. She really is, and she's taught me a lot. I talked about her in my book, In Price Tags, available on Amazon. She's. I'll tell you quick. She's the one that we were on a train together, and there was this woman on there with a baby, like it was a prop, and that's the way I looked at it, because I'm cynical. I'm from here, like, and I always figure somebody's scheming and scamming, right? And she's sitting there and she's like crying. She says, I can't feed my child. She said, I have nowhere to go. I'm living in the shelter. If anybody, please, if you can do anything. And now you got to understand, my ex-mother-in-law, she's just like 4'10" Puerto Rican woman who never had a lot, but generous to a fault. Like she's just one of the finest people I've ever known. And like I said, and she took $10 out, which you got to understand, this is a woman who was on a very fixed income her whole life, and she raised two daughters who both got master's degrees and became very successful people, right, in their own rights. And she's giving this woman $10. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? This is a scam. And she says, well, maybe it is and maybe it isn't. She says, if it's a scam, shame on her. If it's not, shame on you. She says, this $10 isn't going to break me. She says, yeah, it's a lot, but, I could feed this baby. Like she could feed this baby with $10. And I still didn't take any money out. I'll be honest with you. This is what she's going to give it her $10.
5 for each of us.
That's it, yeah. But her point was well taken, and to this day, it still resonates with me. And God, that's 30 years ago that we were there together, and she was right, Yeah. If it is, shame on her. If it isn't, shame on you. And that stayed with me. And she's 80, and Mama never took care. This woman wouldn't eat green Jell-O because it was green. Like she's never eaten a vegetable in her life. Like you say, Ma, broccoli. She has this visceral reaction to it, right? And so she's 80, and she's not in the best of health, but she's sharp. And that's what we say. Oh, she's sharp. See, you don't describe a 40-year-old. Hey, the 40-year-old, you're sharp. Like, hey, your brain is still working well. Well, for 40 years old, a lot of 40-year-olds today, it's not so much anyway. But if it wasn't for her daughters, she knows that she wouldn't be where she is. She wouldn't have been able to do what she's doing on her own. And that's something I think about as well as I get older. Anyway, so these are the things that are going on in my mind. This is the point of aging that can be very difficult. I look around me a lot, and it really inspires me. Like right now, I'm very inspired to get back into the gym. I went Sunday. I saw Justin Yoon again. Here We Go Fitness, Glendale, New York. Give another plug. He's a really good guy, and very sympathetic. And Justin's like, get off your and do it, and he's right. And so I went, and my legs are sore. I hurt my shoulder. I got to get it scoped, but so I hurt it, so I can't really lift over my head. But he says you can curl, you can do. And so he worked the legs on, and my legs are killing me today. Anyway, but I'm getting back to it, and it's. They say if you stay in the basics, you never have to get back to the basics. There's no getting back to it if you're already there. And for me, the basics have to become the journaling that I do. It's the writing that I do. It's the gym. It's the diet. Like, these are the basics of my life now. And because of this, I lead a better life. Anytime I stay in that, it's better for me. When I get away from that stuff, my life, just everything seems to come to crap all at once, because I lose those. In the book that I'm writing right now, that I tell you should be out by the end of the year. I think that we can get it done by then. Talk about the three pillars, right? Mind, body, and spirit. And these three things, that they work in conjunction with one another. And when one of them isn't functioning properly, it really hurts the other two. And we talk about with the fat phobia and everything like that. And when I was pushing 300 pounds and going, it's okay, I can be with it, I'll be as big as I want. And I would pass a mirror, and it would hurt my spirit, right? It would hurt my mind when I had to convince myself that it was okay to be a fat. Like, all of these things work together, and my spirit is lifted, not because I look better, but because I feel better, right? And it's about how I am physically, mentally, and spiritually. And all of that works in conjunction, and that's what I try to get back to. That's what the basics are for me. And when I stay in these basics of doing the things that are good for those three things, I'm going to be better. I'm going to feel better. I'm going to do better. And that's the message for today. And that's all we got. I think I talked long enough today. I really just wanted to get in here and rat on myself. And Walter will break that down and put it on the Instagram and the TikTok or whatever he does, because I really don't know. People tell me, wow, I really like your Instagram. I'm like, thank you. It's got nothing to do with me. That's all Walter. And he'll make me look bad and let me rat on myself in these venues, I'm sure. And anyway, I want to thank you for being here today. Again, if you haven't done so, of course, like, subscribe, all that good crap, notifications, share it with your friends. And let me know how you feel. If you're out there and you're feeling these things, especially where age is concerned, how do you feel about getting older? Is it just me? Are you taking care of yourself? Have you given up? Because I know a lot of people, when I was pushing, in my 50s and really heavy, part of me was saying, it's too late. My metabolism is slow. There's nothing I can do. And I proved that wrong. And in doing that, I want to continue with this journey. So let me know how you feel. All right. Let me know how you feel out there. My name is Dwight. I want to thank you for tuning in today. Be well. Have a great week. God bless you all. Be well now. Bye.